Well, you know, the last several weeks we've been having testimonies. Betch and I went to lunch with a new couple, and I told him to bring me a list of questions about the church, and he just kind of turned it on me and said, "Why should I join your church?" So 2 weeks ago, several of our staff people talked about what they love about Corryton, what's unique about it. And then last week, we had our deacons do that, did a fantastic job. And then this week, we have 4 more of our staff, and then we might have time for another little surprise for you. It's just going to depend on how quickly the count gets done on our offering. So I've asked 4 of our staff, the other remaining kind of ministerial staff of sorts. First is Spencer Smith. Spencer came here in 2010, baptized him that year. And he is our college director, leads our ministry, which we call Vision. And so he's going to tell you something about what he loves about Corryton, a little bit about his ministry. So, Spencer, where are you? Okay, he's coming up from over here.
All right. Wow. Hey, thank you. Thank you. That's new. All right. Hey, so I've been waiting for Miracle Day, and I've just been really excited to see what happens. And when we were talking about testimonies, I didn't know I would have to go on Miracle Day. So I felt a lot of pressure, like if this isn't good, nobody's going to give their money. And so luckily we took care of that already. So I'm really happy. I can calm down a little bit. So this is the most excited I've ever been to get up here. And I've got a lot to say, because I've got to steal a little bit of attention from the testimony first, and I've got to give some attention to my ministry, my college ministry, because we have a retreat coming up. Our annual retreat is called Fall Summit. We do that at Wayfloy, the camp that we own up in Gatlinburg. And so I've got to give a little plug to that, because that is 1 month from now. We go up, have a good relaxing weekend. It's good fellowship. It's good food. We have a really good time. We break free. Last year we broke free and raced go-karts for a couple hours, came back. It's a good luck charm because we were present there watching the game when Tennessee beat Alabama. So it's just, the Lord has anointed that place and that moment. So it's good. That's coming up. And so we usually have, a little catchphrase or a kind of theme. And it's important that I tell you that right now. And that this year it's called Be Not Conformed. Be not conformed. That's our catchphrase. That's our theme. Obviously based off of Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to the world, be transformed. But also in 1 Peter chapter 2 and Hebrews chapter 11, it says, consider yourselves pilgrims, foreigners, sojourners, temporary residents. And the NASB says, consider yourselves aliens. So be not conformed, consider yourself aliens. It's really important that I tell you that first, because we've got a fun little promo video that we want to show you guys right now. All right, so that's our promo for Summit. If that doesn't want to make you go to a church camp, I don't know what's going to do it. But if you're new, you've not been involved, and you feel hesitant to get involved, that's kind of the point. We're supposed to feel weird. We're supposed to be awkward, and let's just all go and do that together as Christians on the mountain. So sign-ups for that retreat start today. Like, we have a link open to start getting people signed up. It's important that you sign up because I need a head count for food, and also I need a head count for your t-shirt and your t-shirt size. It's all free. Free t-shirt, free food. The stay is free. We remove all the obstacles, try to get you there, just to come up and come with an open heart, open mind, and let's worship Jesus together. So you can sign up at our website. There's a link on our social media pages under Corryton Vision. You can get a hold of me, call, text, email. It's Spencer at CorrytonChurch.com. Very easy and straightforward, easy to remember. But just real quick, one more thing. So I know I've got a picture of my family up here. These are the ones that give me gray hair. And yeah, those three right there give me gray hair. But my other kids, I want to show them too. This is actually a picture from last year at our retreat. These are my other kids that give me gray hair. So if you feel like you're out of place or you feel weird, like look at us, look how weird we are. So just come on and you'll fit right in, and we'll accept you. Look at Matthew. He's got a Carolina Panthers jersey on, and they're the worst team in the NFL. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing to be ashamed of. Just come as you are. But I wanted to brag on my other kids right here. Why I love my ministry, why I love what I do, why I'm blessed to get to do what I do, and why I would want other people to come and join us. They're just fantastic young adults. They're fantastic people. They serve in multiple ministries across the rest of the church. There's a ton of them on the praise team, ton of them on the live stream and production team. They, all of them send an army to VBS, the annual Christmas party, all the things that you can do, Upward, whatever, they do it, and they're outstanding. In my tenure here, I've actually had 5 couples get married that have come through the ministry. We've got 6 if you count Shelby and Jack. Shelby kind of brought Jack in, so we accept him. 7 if you count Matt and Annalise. They just kind of showed up and got married, but we can count them. We got one more wedding this Friday, and then another one later this fall. I'm not saying we're serving up love potions or anything, all right? But I'm just trying to say, boys don't get any ideas. I'm just saying it's, the people are fantastic. They're wonderful. We come, it's genuine, and it's just amazing. We have a great time. It's a strong bond. It's a fantastic thing. So they're all outstanding. I love them so much. So if you are someone that wants to be involved, needs a ministry to get involved in, you're college aged, young adults, please come and join us. Ministry is not perfect. I'm not perfect. My kids aren't perfect, but we don't pretend to be. We come and try to do the best we can. I tell them all the time, and told them this morning in class, life's not just unicorns and rainbows. Life is tough, life is hard. We got sins that we struggle with. Whatever sin that you may have struggled with, I've probably done it too. I'm not going to pretend I haven't, and neither do they. So all we do is just tackle the world. We accept the world as being tough, accept it for what it is, but we don't let that be an excuse. We take that as a challenge to go fight and be the best version of yourself and just do what it takes to get there. And we do that together to love Jesus. So that's my plug for my ministry. If you're not involved and you need a place to go, come join us. They're great people, and I would love to have you. So moving on to what I'm supposed to actually be doing up here is talking about why I love Corryton Church. To answer that question, why I love the church, I want to share my testimony. And just for lack of a better word, testimony. I didn't crawl out of a ditch somewhere and just miraculously find Jesus. I was born and raised in church. But it's been kind of interesting on the journey God has brought me through church. So I'm going to break this down to 3 parts real quick. I'm not going through a whole outline or anything, but I got 3 parts. How I got here to Corryton, what I discovered on my journey here, and what I think about Corryton today. So how I got here, it's pretty random. I just wandered in. I was invited by a friend who invited me to church about right as I graduated high school. I was 17 the first time I came, and blew my mind, just blew my mind. I grew up at a Presbyterian church from ages 0 to 17, which I loved. I'm not about to give you a testimony that says, I've been burned by my church, and church did me wrong. I love my church. It's full of fantastic people. I learned a lot about the Bible, learned how to be a good person. But that was pretty much it. That's it. It's good stuff, but just for lack of a better word, it was just very casual, just really casual. So I stepped in here, saw these crazy people, and it rocked my world. Church attendance, theology, repentance, a challenge to grow. It was just casual at this place. It was just not a big deal. And I never really realized that was a problem until I came here. And I was like, holy cow, there's a lot more to things. And again, I have nothing bad to say about that church. They're very near and dear to my heart. But then so started my journey here. So instantly, I realized that I'm being exposed to something that's more than just casual. It's not just a a thing that we do occasionally. That's not our spiritual life. And not to over-spiritualize, but God was calling me here. God was calling me to go deeper with him. Now, I'm not saying I knew that then, that God was calling me there. But now in hindsight, don't think that I believe that random invite, me wandering in here, was not part of a bigger purpose. And for me and my relationship with him. So God had a lot more to show me. I was going to go a lot deeper than I'd ever been. And I didn't know how deep I was going to go. But one way that God showed that to me was through the people here. And everybody that's kind of been up here has mentioned and talked about how amazing the people are, how good the people are at this church. And I don't want that to become redundant and just be a passive statement. The people here, I've never seen so many men and women serve the kingdom of God the way that the people at this church do. So devoted, so dedicated to just serving in hopes that somebody sees Jesus through that. I mean, it's from the preaching on this stage down to the hands getting dirty on weekends, Wednesday nights, youth camps, Christmas parties, just anything and everything. It blew my mind as a 17, 18-year-old, seeing men go out here and do these things, seeing women go out here and do these things. It blew my mind. It rocked my world. And so I'm exposed to something that, people read in their Bible that for all things you do it to glorify God. And people here took that seriously. They took that seriously. It was not just casual. So there we go. I'm being molded into the position I think that God was trying to put me in. He's doing that through the people who are amazing. So, a quick thing about my journey here. About 10 years ago, I don't want to shed a lot of light on this, but this affected me. About 10 years ago, the church went through a little bit of some turmoil, went through a church split kind of thing. And it was really weird for me. There's a lot of people my age that just jumped ship, up and left this church because they were following other people. It was like there was a thing going on and people were taking sides, and a lot of people that I thought I had things in common with just disappeared. We're gone. They were out of here. And so it was a really weird time. And I know you guys experienced a lot of this too. And so for me, we had just gotten married. And when you get married, you want to plant your roots in a church, and you want your kids to grow up and, be in a good church and figure out what you're going to do. I had lunch one day with my two best friends, Brendan and Travis, and, it was this, and my wife, and we're all kind of discussing the same things. Like, what are we doing? Like, are we supposed to leave our church because all these other people are doing it? Are we supposed to just jump ship? And it was weird. It was a weird time. But appropriately, very appropriately and unanimously with the people that were closest to me, we all had the same consensus. Like, I'm not leaving my church. Like, why would I leave my church because someone else did? And so that's when we decided, I'm dedicated to this church. I'm going to be here. I'm going to do what needs to be done. There are some holes now to fill. But I talked to these guys and we decided, hey, this is a time for us to step up. We're getting on in our 20s. We're getting married. Let's be men. Let's serve our church like all these other men who have set examples for us. And therefore, we didn't let the influence from people around us. It was really the people who had gone before us that we decided we're going to follow that example. So that's how we got here. We were dedicated, and that has been quite the journey. So as time went on during that journey, I don't want to talk about him too much, but it's me and Brendan Oakes, our youth pastor. We're best friends. I'm his best friend. He's not my best friend, but we're really close. We're really close. But along this journey, so we were living together as roommates. We were working together at a job. And it was kind of significant. We're best friends. We're doing life together. We would wake up in the same house. We would get in the same work truck, drive to the same job, work on the same job site, and come home to the same house and wake up and do it again. Different bedrooms, not the same. In case you thought we were going somewhere with that. Sometimes that work would require us to stay out of town, so we'd go and stay in the same hotel room. And it's when I say me and this dude are close, I couldn't get away from him. It just follows me around everywhere. But that's important because that guy is my accountability partner. He's my brother. We were doing life together. were doing work together and we were doing life together. We were living together. Couldn't get away from him. And so that's important because we decided we're going to be people who serve our church. We're dedicated. We serve our God and just do what we're supposed to do, whatever that is. So fast forward a little bit, about 6.5 years ago now, Rocky calls us over to his house one night. And he says, which scared me to death. Your pastor's calling you to have a little sit down chat with you. I'm a little nervous, especially with the other troublemaker I was with. And he tells us that the church is in need of, a position of for the youth and for the college. Would you be interested in stepping in and filling that position? And I thought, well, here it is. The guy has lost his marbles, and so much for this. This dude's crazy. And we talked about it, and with me and my brother, and we went home and talked about our wives, and again, very appropriately and unanimously decided, of course we're going to do this. Of course. Been the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's been the best last 6.5 years of my life. Best thing for me and Allison. Best thing for my kids. Amanda, and what she does with the children over there is so great. My kids love it, and it's amazing. Can't wait for them to go be with Megan, who has the biggest heart in the world for kids and what she does. Can't wait for my kid to go be in the youth with Brennan. It's the only church that has a youth group my kid won't get kicked out of because he knows Brennan has permission to spank him. So, and on that note, and I'm not going to take, he's going next, but Brennan's journey too, that guy was born to do this. He's born to do what he does. And so I'm so blessed and honored to be here and get to serve together and be with those others that work in the children's ministry as well. So it's an amazing journey. So what I think about Corryton now, last thing I want to say is this, why I love the church the most. I want to come back to Rocky because everybody that's been up here has kind of mentioned Rocky and brought up the way he preaches, the way he teaches a few times the last couple weeks. Something to know about Rocky is he hates flattery. He hates compliments. He hates people trying to suck up to him, He hates trying to be impressed. He says it makes him sick, and he does but if we're going to talk about what makes this church great, what makes it unique, we've got to talk about all the good stuff. So you just got to sit there and let us be nice to you for a minute, okay? You're just going to have to take it, all right? This is just my honest truth, okay? This is just how I feel and what I've got to say. There's really no other opportunities that maybe are appropriate to say it. So I just want to say that what I love the very most about my church is the way that it has changed my life for the better, the way it's changed my life. And that has started with Rocky not holding back the truth with the way that he preaches. Jimmy Royal said 2 weeks ago, it's like Rocky's spying on us. It's like the dude reads our mail. He says what you need to hear. You may not like it, but it's the truth that you need to hear. Danny Allen said it really well last week. He said he's got the guts to say what other people are too afraid to say. And I agree. And so for all that, I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful that that is the case. And I just want to talk about this real quick. That doesn't sit well with a lot of people. I can be very thankful that he preaches that way, but a lot of people don't like that. It can kind of rub them the wrong way. And, people say all the time, they will claim to want a church where the preacher preaches the truth and that he's not some hypocrite and he's the real deal. And I think Rocky is the gold standard of that. I think that's Exhibit A. However, I think he also catches a lot of heat for that reason. A couple years ago in our community group, there was a girl that brought her brother. She was trying to get him to come back to church and be in church and be involved. He comes, Rocky's preaching the fire like he usually does, leaves, ticked off, doesn't want to talk to his sister, is mad at her. And she said, "What's your problem?" And he said, "You can't believe you told him all that stuff about me. I just can't believe you said all that stuff. He sat up there and preached about me because everything that you told him." He's never met you. We've never met. I've never talked to Rocky. That's conviction. He feels it. He thought he's preaching right to him because that is conviction. And that's what I think a lot of people don't like is Rocky will bring that conviction out of you. And he catches a lot of heat for that. Listen, I think the guy hung the moon as far as I'm concerned. But a lot of people will try to find flaws in the preacher for their own sake. Like if I can label that dude a hypocrite, if I can call out some flaws, if he's not real, then I don't have to listen to him. If he's a hypocrite, then I'm good, I'm off the hook. But if he's real, then I've got some things I've got to answer to. just like every church. So if we can pick him apart and it's not real, then I'm off the hook. But I think he's as real as it gets. I think he's the real deal. It's a person that has the most integrity of any person I've ever met. He's the best teacher I've ever been around. He's the wisest teacher, he's the most authentic person I've ever been around. He catches a lot of heat from people, but he's definitely the real deal. I'm so thankful for that. It's changed my life. And I think that's what makes this church so great. It's great teaching and it's great people. And so therefore, I think this is the best place in the world. Thank you. That's all I got.
All right. Next we have Amanda Vandegrift. Spencer, as you can tell, enjoys this, okay? This is not Amanda's cup of tea, but we love her. She's phenomenal. Amanda's our preschool director. She came here in 2007, and soon thereafter, she in fact, today is her birthday. She's 29 again. Yeah, she and James had Jack when she was 12. So, but anyway, she does a phenomenal job, and so she's going to talk to you a little bit about her ministry.
I think it's horrible to make somebody do something that terrifies them so much on their birthday, don't you? So I have notes. Megan asked me if I was going to look at my phone, and I said, no, I can't see my phone without my glasses, so I have to print it out in big font and use my notes. So I'm going to do that so I don't lose track. When Rocky first proposed this question to the staff about what makes our church the place to be, all of my thoughts centered around kids. I'm a mom to 3, and I work in the preschool ministry, so basically all my time is spent with children. So all of my thoughts kind of worked around that. This is my family. My husband and I have been married for 19 years, and Wade on this side is a sophomore, Kate is in 6th grade, and Jack is a senior this year at Halls. And all of our children have grown up in this church, in this preschool ministry and children's ministry, and now they're all in student ministry. And James and I honestly cannot imagine like having our kids have been a part of any other youth groups and student ministries. We've just been so happy with everything that's happened here. The goal of all 3 of our ministries, I feel like, is kind of the same, but it's to come alongside parents and just to teach this next generation to love God deeply. And each ministry is full of volunteers who share age-appropriate lessons and relevant lessons for these kids. For our family personally, children's ministry and student ministry have been full of experience that we will never forget. The love and dedication that Megan and Brennan and Savannah and Matthew and Lori and all of the countless volunteers and college students that have shown our children is more than we could ever have hoped for. Not only have they taught valuable life lessons to our children and Bible lessons, but they've also loved them and invested in their lives. Things like meeting Jack for coffee just to see how he's doing and catch up, showing up at Wade's ball games and cheering him on, or just sending a text to me about how Kate's first few days at her new school went means so much to us and so much to our children. These ministry leaders and volunteers, they go above and beyond to show the students how important they are to each of them. These people have ministered to my family in good times and in times of need. As the director of the preschool ministry, it's an amazing experience for me to be able to come alongside you parents to help introduce these children to a God who made them and loved them. We reach so many families not only through our Sunday morning and our Wednesday night programming, but also through our Parents' Day Out program that serves our community. Nothing makes my heart happier than to see one of my PDO kids show up here on a Sunday morning. Sorry. Preschool is filled with about 40 amazing volunteers each week who have a heart for introducing your children to the Word of God. They also have a heart for you as parents. They understand how important it is for you to be able to come into a small group and into service on Sundays and Wednesdays. So they work hard to provide a safe place for the children so that you can do that. We're so thankful that this is where God led James and I 20 years ago. If you have children, this is no doubt the place to be. From the baby room all the way through college age, you'll be amazed at the love that these ministries show your children and the biblical truths that are imprinted in their hearts.
All right, next we have Megan Ben. Megan's our children's director, and in all of the cases of our ministries, the wives are just about as involved as the men are. So we should have had James and Michael up here because they have done so much, and their kids. So their kids are a big part of this. Megan came here in 2012, and she's came on part-time, and then we brought her on kind of fuller time, and she divides her time between Parents' Day Out, our Summer Fun Days program, and then the ministry here at the church. Megan?
Thank you. Brennan and Spencer are used to speaking in front of you all. Amanda and I are used to speaking with children, so I also am going to read it. But I want to do that because I don't want to forget something, and hopefully I will not cry. My why of Corryton. We came to Corryton when Kyla was young. Both Mike and I had grown up in church, but Mike's grandfather had recently retired from preaching, so we were looking for something near where we lived. We had recently moved to Corryton. Corryton was very different than both of us had grown up with, but we loved it. We began to get plugged in. We started the Latham Community Group, and it helped us meet people who were in a similar phase of life. I started volunteering in preschool and with the elementary age kids. This is where God began a work in me. See, we had suffered 2 miscarriages before we had our daughter, Kyla. And then 2 more after Kyla. The last one being extremely difficult medically. It was a rare occurrence and actually caused a malignant tumor to develop. The following 18 months were really difficult. I went through 16 weeks of treatment for something that should have resulted in a joyful time. Instead, it was more heartbreak. It was a very long, hard road. My spirit was broken, but we continued to come to church. We had a daughter who needed strong, healthy parents, physically and spiritually. Our community group prayed for us, brought us meals, loved on us during that time. I loved kids and wanted more. Fast forward a couple of years, Amanda and Jennifer, that used to work with us, asked if I wanted to go to a conference with the curriculum that we use here at church. I was still a volunteer at the time, but I left the conference feeling like I could do more, that God could use me, use my heart for kids and desire for more to help build his kingdom. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose." The losses we suffered, the heartbreak that we endured will never go away for either of us. And when you're in those hard times, honestly, more often than not, you can't see the good that could come from it. But every day, I get the opportunity to come here into this place and serve him through my ministry. It's a testament to that promise. Good did come from it. Shortly after that conference, I'm so sorry. Shortly after that conference, I met with Rocky. Basically asked him if I could come on board to children's ministry. I felt like I had a purpose that could be put to use for God's glory. I was called to ministry when I was broken, but only God could have orchestrated his perfect plan to bring me into the position that I am now. he was able to see what could come from it. I always say that if Kyla was meant to be our only child, then it's as much her testimony as it is mine. I know I'm partial, but she's a bright light. She is good, and mostly she loves and follows Jesus. We are honored to be her parents. Mike and I both are incredibly grateful for the leaders and volunteers in our preschool children's ministry and now in youth with Brennan and Savannah, who have come alongside us, pouring into our girl each week. God had a plan. He brought us here. He placed the right people in our path. And this is not in there. On another side with Savannah, or with what Amanda said about the volunteers and the leaders pouring into our kids, I tell my 5th grade parents this, that they will love your kids and they want to invest in their lives, but you have to give them the opportunity to. So to be intentional, to be in this place, to show up, to bring them here, even when they're driving or however you get them here, to be intentional, to give them that opportunity to love and to pour into your kids, they will do it. So God had a plan. He brought us here. He placed the right people in our path. And over time, God used this place and the kids that I get to minister to help heal that broken heart. Every week I ask the kids to tell me something good that happened in their week. Sometimes it's really silly, but I love it. It brings me immense joy. They minister to me. I love getting to know them, to see them grow up into young teenagers. I love seeing their friendships grow within the church, knowing that one day their life too could become very difficult, and they need this place and those friends to help them through. My goal for all my kiddos while they're in ministry with us is to start an age-appropriate foundation on biblical truth, creating a space that they want to come to. Have fun while also learning about Jesus, and ultimately build bonds and relationships with them and their families so that they know that this church loves them, that I love them, but most importantly, that there's a God that loves them big. I know without a doubt, I could have become a very bitter person and turned from God during a really difficult time. I'm so thankful that He chose me. I'm so thankful that He chose to use me for His glory. I couldn't have made it here on my own. It's a plan that only He could have done. I'm grateful for everyone that He put before us to help us to get where we are now. Those same friendships that have come from being here is without a doubt helping me through yet another really hard, difficult road. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Last but not least, Brennan Oakes.
Thanks, sir. Good morning. I want to say this. It goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways, right? The reason I am who I am today is because Jesus first revealed Himself to me. I submitted to who He was, who He is, and I find joy in His obedience to His commands. This fact completely and utterly changed the course of my life. I think my life is a bit of a miracle. I was born in Biloxi, Mississippi, on an Air Force base. We moved to Wichita Falls, Texas, and through that, my parents divorced. And that's relevant because that's how I ended up here in East Tennessee. It's where my family's from, and it's where my family lives. And my now single mother with, I don't know how she did it, with 4 kids, needed help from her family. We lived by ourselves in a trailer on some property. And even though we were poor, I had people paying for our Christmases. I was happy. I was so happy. And I'm so thankful for those years because they taught me contentment with nothing. Fun to us was taking one of those massive Nerf bats and going outside and making fireworks. You got to try it. So even though we were poor, my mom tried her best to get us into church. Good night getting 4 kids up in the morning and driving almost 30, 40 minutes to find us a church. Through that, my mom met my stepdad, and we moved to Halls, which, again, all this stuff is relevant to how I ended up here, so that's why I wanted to share it. I had an amazing stepdad who was, he provided for us. We had a house now, and he was there for me in ways that I didn't understand until I had kids. I'm so thankful for him. But through that, the disappointment and the brokenness inside of me from the divorce, from the move, it just kept bubbling up. In 6th grade, I just kind of gave up on school. Wanted nothing to do with it. All I wanted to do was to feel okay, to feel enough by making people laugh. I figured if I could make them laugh, they would accept me, and I could get over the rejection that I felt from just the stuff that had happened to me. I was angry, and I had little to no instruction on how to deal with the anger, the rejection, and the disappointment. And so to answer the question of why Corryton Church is the place to be, it's because of what I had to go through. My mom's new marriage had us in Halls, and, I couldn't understand everything that was going on inside of me. And then one day in 2003 or 2004, it just depends on what semester it was in middle school, I was invited to church. And I was invited, and this is important, but I was invited to church by a girl. So there was no way I was saying no. And she looked to the guy next to him and she said, "Hey, could you get him to church next Wednesday?" And I've been best friends with Houston Meek ever since then. A guy he'd never met. He didn't invite me to church. She just knew that they convoyed to church every Wednesday. And so the next opportunity I got, I rode home with him. We hung out. We rode 4-wheelers. His mom bought us pizza. I hit myself in the face with a brick. That's a true story. I still have the scar. But there was no way I wasn't going to church. And I walked in, and I was blown away. I was hooked, and I was never leaving. So 20 years later, I can honestly say, and I thought about this, and I talked to Savannah about it, but everything I have that's worth anything came from this church. It's a result of me being at this church. See, what I didn't realize through those 20 years is that God was changing me. He used this place, he used these people, he used this pulpit to do it. I was a kid who really didn't have a chance. I was too broken. I was too angry. All I had was the neighborhood kids influencing me, the back of the bus influencing me, just all kinds of darkness and destruction trying to keep me from being the person I was made to be. Again, I didn't have a chance. I was too insecure, and all I felt like was a failure. All I felt like is if my dad's not in my life, if he's not around, there must be something with me. So again, I would do anything to get acceptance. I would do anything to get attention. And that's why that primary influence in my life was so effective. I had no moral compass, just brokenness. But here, I got a standard. Here, I got truth. I was afforded a chance to change, to grow up. I can honestly say that, there's no person on this earth who has taught me more about being a man or about being a better person than Rocky. That's just the truth. Even when I wasn't listening, even when I was, drawing on the little things that you get to write your outlines on. I'm sure some of these over here have mine and Houston's name on it. There are numerous times where I've had to decide, is this the place I want to be? And if we're being honest, all of us have had to make that decision, because the people business is a dirty business. It's messy. And Rocky taught me this too. Anything worth having, it gets messy sometimes. In a marriage, in relationships, and in going to a church. I have never regretted deciding to be here. Ever. Again, everything I have worth having came from this church. Came from meeting Houston. Came from meeting my wife and deciding to be here. Through my friends and my relationships now, they're all a direct result of who I have become because of this church. The 2 jobs that I've had, they're from this church. They're through the relationships that I have developed here. I have not had an easy life. Just really haven't. None of us here have. But through all the difficulties, through all the hurt, through all the brokenness, I have never not felt equipped. Through the life application that comes from the preaching here. Again, I didn't have a chance, and this place gave me one. I shouldn't have the life that I have if you go back and you look at all the things I've gone through. You guys gave me a chance through what has proven to be one of the most difficult lives of my year. It just doesn't stop. But I never forget your loving kindness, the loving kindness that God first gave to you all and you've passed on to me and my family. We're building a building right now, and that's why we're all here. But it's not about the building. It's about the souls who are going to hear the word of God, who could be changed forever by the work that's done over there. And I know you've all given your money already and all those things, but I want to really reset our priorities to understand that it's not about the brick and mortar. It's not about the steel. It's not about pickleball. It's not about the ping pong that's going to get played in there, or the level floor so our backs stop aching while we're watching. It's about giving these students the same chance that was given to me for years and years to come. Because I am no doubt doing what I was made to do. And I no doubt am the person I was made to be now because of what happened here. And so now I am a youth pastor who's affording the same opportunity to these students. A chance to change. I can't imagine anywhere on earth who does that better than Corryton Church. Thank you guys so much.
Well, apparently I'm going dancing. Try to keep from crying. Given today, $1,974,179.57. It's unbelievable. Several years ago, I guess it's been about 10 now, we purchased Wave Floyd and rehabbed it, put it back on its feet. And one of the reasons we did that was to provide money for future buildings here at the church. And our pledge includes a large gift from them. Just leave it at that. Our pledge total is $4,048,000, $192.67. Wow. I think now would be the good time to sing the doxology, Rich. You guys need to get back up here. They're coming this way. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise him all creatures here below. Praise him above you heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Wow.